Howdy, howdy, all. This is Goose for Goose Talks Wrestling, and welcome to this week's episode 2. We are talking about the Elimination Chamber 2024, just some review, and I'll grade the matches, etc., etc., and we'll also touch on today's Raw as well, with some results at the end, because that obviously doesn't directly affect Elimination Chamber, because obviously Elimination Chamber happened first. I apologise if there's maybe some feedback in the microphone. I have to have my aircon on, because it is so fucking hot in my office right now. And I usually do the podcast without it on, but today it's in the high 30s and I just can't do it, so I apologise. I really do apologise. It's a big rarity, but I don't want to sweat my balls off. Anyway, so Elimination Chamber happened over the weekend, Saturday night. It turned out to be a really, really long show, and I'm not trying to make that sound, real negative like a lot of other people, where there was 3+ hour show and there was only an hour and 50 minutes of wrestling. Well, we all knew that was the case when there was 4 matches, and we knew that in the middle was going to be the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. We knew that was going to be drawn out, and I was hoping it led to something, but it really didn't, other than Cody calling out The Rock. There was no confirmation of a lot of people's rumours and ideas that there's going to be a tag team match between Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus The Rock and Roman on night 1 of WrestleMania. Look, I'm not for that at all. We know it's been promoted that The Rock is going to be on the next 3 SmackDowns. I'm assuming that's the next 3 from now on, or I don't know if it's the 3 before WrestleMania. That would make more sense, but he seems to mainly do SmackDowns. He's done 1 Raw and I don't know how long, but I guess Roman's on Raw, Roman's on SmackDown, Cody's on Raw, so I guess it makes more sense for him to be on SmackDown with Roman, because Roman's never on Raw, because he's barely on fucking SmackDown. Anyway, we'll jump into the Elimination Chamber. I'll bitch and moan about Roman later, or maybe on another podcast. We had a pre-show that I won't really grade or really watch, because I did know this was going to be on the pre-show. Then for some reason, Tom myself was actually going to be an opener for some reason. So I was actually getting my notes ready and getting my food and drinks and all that ready, because my time had started about 8:30 p.m. Well, that was the main show anyway. So I wasn't really ready for it. I watched majority of the tag match. It was just over 8 minutes of a Raw match, let's be honest. It was to get Indy Hartwell on the card, which I don't mind. It was on the pre-show. There was a pretty decent crowd for the pre-show, because they pushed the match right before the start of the main show. So I guess, to make it worthwhile for Indy, there's no point in having on the pre-show with only a couple of thousand people there. So I think that's great for Indy. But we'll revert now to Raw, where if you don't want spoilers for Raw, just kind of switch off for 20 seconds or mute me for 20 seconds. Indy and Candice LeRae lost to Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. And Indy was the one that didn't take the pin, but she took the sub. She tapped out. So they've completely just... I'm sick of using the term buried, because it's just overused so much, but they've pretty much just killed any momentum that Indy and LeRae had, maybe from the Chamber. It wasn't a massive momentum, but it just... I wish they would have built that up just a little bit. Even give Indy and LeRae a win on Raw, like the week before Chamber. At least build it. There was no build up to this. It was announced over social media. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Indy. She's a former NXT Women's Champion. They obviously saw something in her. Well, at least Shawn Michaels saw something in her. Maybe Triple H doesn't, or he hasn't got anything for it. I don't know. But anyway, that's all I can really say about that match. We knew the Kabuki Warriors were going to win, because that's going to play a big factor in the WrestleMania feud with Bayley and Dakota Kai. That might be a tag match, the week before Mania. Who knows? I think they played too big of a part for the Kabuki Warriors to drop the tag titles any time before Mania to anyone other than Bayley and Dakota Kai. So we'll jump into the main event. Not the main event, but the main show, man. I'm starting well. It's so hot. I'm really delirious. This Women's Chamber match, I'll just start with, this was just great. I mean, it was stacked from the start. They did a really good job with booking, but also the people they booked in it all had their own different reasons in it. They all kind of made sense for the match, unlike the men's, which we'll touch on later. All these women were in here for a reason. Most of them have stories with Rhea, except really Naomi and Tiffany, but they all kind of had their unique stories, Tiffany and Naomi. So Tiffany was kind of building on that. I'm the new young heel. I want to make a name for myself to show everyone how good I am. Because that's her character. Like, she's really arrogant. You know, she's kind of like that Barbie type. You know, look how hot I am. Look how good I am in the ring. And then you got Naomi, who's on like a comeback tour. She's come back to the company after being away for a fair while now. She had a really great showing in the Rumble. Then you have pretty much the other four all kind of have stories with Rhea, one way or another. And yeah, I really liked the booking of this match from the get-go, to be honest. So, I mean, Bianca and Rhea don't really have a story as such, other than the fact that people fantasy book Rhea and Bianca because they're two big beasts, and they're two of the very best in-ring. I'd say Rhea's much better with her character work, but Bianca's, you know, she's very good for what she is. Like, she does a good job. She can cut a promo, is what I'm saying, but in terms of overall character, it's Rhea. But, yes, I mean, of the other four, Bianca's probably got the least story, but it would make sense if she won because it would just make sense in terms because they're, you know, the two biggest physical stars and probably two of the biggest female stars in terms of just overall being over as well, in terms of merchandise, blah, blah, blah. Up there with a few others as well. Then you have Liv and Raquel. Those two had the best story, and I don't want to be one of those Liv Morgan fans that cry on social media, blah, blah, blah. I picked Liv. It was my only wrong prediction for this pay-per-view, and that was just coming from the heart because that story made the most sense to me. I had a feeling that Becky was going to win because they pretty much told us 8 months ago. They've kept Becky and Rhea so far apart from each other that it wouldn't make sense for Becky not to win in terms of their booking in their eyes. Yeah, Liv just, you know, the former tag team partner with Rhea. Rhea turned on her, and then also she got injured by Rhea. Then you have Raquel, same story. Not same story, but similar. She got injured. She had a title match with Rhea. She was... Well, everyone thought she was going to get a big push, but she didn't really get one in the end. In terms of character work, I'm sorry. I'll get to the match in a second, but I just want to talk about these wrestlers individually for a second. Raquel, I just don't care about her, and I mean that in the sense of her character. God, she's boring. And I don't want to keep using the same meme, the same old cliche that, oh, I've got a muscular back. Like, that's her shtick. Like, that's her gimmick. I mean, it is. Like, that's her character. And I'm not saying it's her fault, but she's not has been given anything to show us who she is or what kind of character she wants to be or anything like that. And she was the one that I was the least excited about in this match. I was excited because it had a big physical body in there as well as Bianca Belair. But to me, Bianca could have done all the spots that Raquel did, or even at least, even Pipe and Niven. Then we could have got some Chelsea Green shenanigans as well. But they haven't built up Pipe and Niven as the monster she should be. I think Pipe and Niven's great in terms of character in ring. I think she's much better than Raquel. Sorry, and better than Nia Jax as well. But we'll touch on her later. Yeah. So sorry, I just didn't give a shit about Raquel in this match, and that then reflects on her in-ring ability. I think she's good. Don't get me wrong. I don't. Not saying that she's a shit in the ring and should be a jobber by any means. But, yeah, and AEW have a few problems with their wrestlers as well, where they're actually pretty good in the ring, but their characters are either so boring or they haven't got one and no story that their in-ring work just either doesn't mean anything or it then reflects you think their wrestling's bad because you're just so bored of the fucking character. And Raquel's one of them. I'm sorry, but I would have much preferred, if I was to pick anyone, not just a big wrestler to replace Raquel, I would have picked Chelsea Green for some funny shenanigans in here. She's a great seller. She is a great storyteller. But they wanted to put Raquel. They obviously have plans for Raquel. They're a bit like Bronson Reed. They don't want to risk getting her pinned a lot and making her look weak because they want to use them, but they don't ever use them. I mean, we all thought Bronson was getting a massive push after his amazing performance in the Elimination Chamber for the US title last year, and he was protected, don't get me wrong. Like, he rarely lost, and if he did, it was against someone strong. But, I mean, it means nothing because he hasn't challenged for anything or had any big matches or anything. But, anyway, just rambling on now. But, anyway, Tiffany Stratton, whew, the crowd wanted Tiffy time. The Aussies, I mean, I heard some funny comments of the Aussie crowd wanted Tiffy time. They wanted Tiffany Stratton because they were so used to her because it looks like all the girls are Bondi Witch. Might be an offensive joke, but I think Tiffany's just over because she's fucking fantastic, if I'm being honest. I don't think her look or being blonde has honestly anything to do with it. I just think that her character work and her in-ring is just fucking phenomenal. And her this is what I'm talking about, in-ring and character work. Her in-ring is great and her character work is great. And she's only young, like she's 24. And she's only been wrestling for a few years now. Like, strap a rocket to her. We always talk about we don't want people pushed too early. I look at Austin Theory, Baron Corbin, there's a few of them, but sometimes you have to push them early. Push Tiff. Get her to win Money in the Bank in July, and then pot her along. She doesn't have to cash in straight away, but she's got that now made story with Becky. If Becky does beat Rhea, which I don't think she should, but if she does, then there's already ready-made story down the line for Becky, depending on how long she holds the title, if she does beat Rhea. But that's another discussion. I think that's 50-50 in my opinion, who wins out of those two. But Naomi looked great. I mean, very surprising that she got the roll-up pin elimination, but then they're obviously trying to protect her, but I was surprised that she was the first to go. Bianca looked great. Becky didn't look amazing. In terms of that comes down to booking. That's not her looking shit in the ring or botching or anything. That's just for the winner. She wasn't really given a lot of big moments at all. I can think of the few biggest moments weren't involving her on the offensive at all. Maybe on like receiving a move or something. But I mean, Liv had highlights. Bianca had highlights. Tiffany Stratton had highlights. Raquel didn't really have many highlights, I'm afraid. The double powerbomb, whatever you call it, was pretty cool, but it wasn't overly amazing. I am really surprised Liv got the most pins. She got 2 pins. Everyone else just got the one or didn't get one. So I think that's WWE also trying to make Liv look as strong as they can. And when she loses, she's losing very quickly. So in the Royal Rumble, she eliminates Jade Cargill, and then literally a few seconds later gets eliminated by Bayley. In this, rolls up Bianca Belair. And that, by the way, that's a big pin. Even if it's a roll-up or nothing. For Liv to be given the pin against Bianca Belair is huge. For them not to give the Bianca Belair pin to the eventual winner of Becky Lynch is just insane. Like, so, for all the Liv Morgan fans out there, all you marks or non-marks, Liv she's getting pushed eventually. She's gonna be in a main event picture in the women's division. So don't panic, because they wouldn't make her look like this. And also, they just talk her up all the time that she's got a story with Rhea. So, honestly, who knows? For all you Liv Morgan fans out there, Rhea might beat Becky. She might just literally be feeding... They might be feeding Becky to Rhea just to give Rhea a big win, because she hasn't really beaten anyone of note. Like, none of her matches have been memorable, but her character work and the Judgment Day stuff has been so memorable that we're probably going to look back on this title reign being really good, not so much for the matches, but just because of Rhea Ripley herself. And hey, she might just beat Becky, and then Becky might just go on not a main event, but a main roster feud with Tiffany, because they've got that history there, build up, Tiffany look strong, maybe give them a win each, something like that, 50-50 booking. And Liv might then challenge at one of these big pay-per-views coming up. There's a lot of these pay-per-views get treated like big events. So hold out hope. She looked strong in this in terms of she got 2 pins and she pinned Bianca Belair and she pinned Tiffany. And we all know how big Tiffany's going to be. So, yeah, I think everyone in this match did their job. There wasn't a lot of botches. It was definitely the most exciting chamber match of the two. And again, just like the Royal Rumble, the women's is better. And that just shows you the amount of fucking talent and also the booking. Booking the right people, booking the matches, giving the right pins to the right people, etc., etc. It means something. It means a lot. And the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber of the women's has just been fantastic. And the women's roster is stacked. Everyone talks about TNA and AEW having stacked women's roster. I mean, they're stacked as well. There's so much talent in wrestling right now. Like all these people, tribalist people, they're like, oh, AEW sucks, no, WWE sucks, blah, blah, blah. We're fucking treated like, if you're a full-on wrestling fan, you have so many options to choose from. It's like the best time to be a wrestling fan. Like, it really is. Anyway, Again, another topic for a different podcast. But and they planted some seeds for some possible feuds as well. Tiffany and Liv Morgan makes sense because Liv got the pin on Tiffany, was also taunting her afterwards, taunting the crowd as well, which I thought was great character work. They could even do Raquel and Liv because they didn't even seem to have a moment of, oh shit, we used to be tag team partners and friends. We've got to fight each other. They just looked at each other and said, let's go. And just fought each other and just went hammer. So that could be a thing that happens. Tiffany and Naomi, because Tiffany's kind of been indirectly, paying Naomi out and, giving her shit. So that could be a possible thing. Bianca and Tiffany could be a possible WrestleMania thing. A lot of people are holding out for Jade and Bianca. Not having Jade in this match to build a story doesn't make that fantasy booking look good. Because I don't know if Jade just rocking up on Raw and challenging Bianca is going to be good enough story, but maybe it doesn't have to be. I don't know. But I am kind of a fan of them not putting Cargill in this because she would have had to cop a pin from someone. At least in the Rumble, it's kind of like no one really cares that, she got third. That's a really good showing. And she eliminated Nia Jax and fucking, I think who else did she get? Did she get Becky Lynch, I think she might have got, and Naomi? She got a few big eliminations anyway, but I think that was good of them not booking her in this. There were some great spots. Liv Morgan had that great spot from the top of the pod where she kind of I don't know what you call it. It wasn't really a swanton because she landed on her ass, but yeah, took someone out. There was two right winners in my eyes, and one of them won. It was Becky and Liv were the two. Just because, like I said, they telegraphed it way too far ago, 8-10 months ago, when Becky and Rhea were on the same show. They were both the two biggest and most over female wrestlers, not even interacting with each other at all. You knew that something was going to big happen in the following year. And then when Becky was calling Rhea out and didn't win the Rumble, and I thought it made more sense for Becky and Nia Jax. I thought that's where they were going at one point, because that kind of just got forgotten about and then got brought up again, then got forgotten about, and then Nia keeps beating up Becky, and I don't know, it's really weird. But my MVP of this match was actually Tiffany Stratton. She was over with the Aussie crowd. She really fed into that and did a really good job. She got the pin off Naomi, which I thought was good, that Tiffany got a big pin against Naomi, who's massive right now. She's one of the biggest female stars on SmackDown. So that was a big pin for her. And she got pinned by Liv, who, like I said, is going to have a big year, in my opinion. I think, Tiffany just looked great in every sense. I don't think that she botched anything. I don't think that she looked rusty at any point. She just looked really, really good. But like I said, everyone in this match looked good in terms of wrestling and all that. No one looked shit, and I thought it was booked really well. So the rating, out of 5, I'll have to give this a 4 out of 5. It's not the best Elimination Chamber ever, but it might possibly be the best Women's Chamber. I'd have to sit back and watch all 5 of them. I think there are 5 or 6, and actually list them. But this, from memory, off the top of my head, this would be the best women's for sure. And then probably one of the best overall ones since they've been doing male and female, to be honest. Because some of the men's have not been great. And some of the tag ones were atrocious. And you were going to the men's tag titles. I'm kind of happy this was given almost 20 minutes of match time. So this is about half an hour with entrances. Close to. The Judgment Day versus New Catch Republic. I'm still not a massive fan of that name, but it is what it is. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Obviously, Dirty Dom was at ringside with Judgment Day, and if everyone's wondering why their feed cut to black for 10 seconds, it was because the front row were all giving the bird to Dom, and they panicked and just cut the feed for them. And also, you might notice they cut the audio at certain points because there was, I think that some people even chanting the C word, apparently. I don't know if that's not 100%, proven to be real, but I have heard that, and there was wanker chants and all that, so that's why. If you're wondering why, if you thought there were some technical difficulties in the end, those occasions weren't technical difficulties, they were choice. Look, this was a good match. There was quite a few false finishes. I thought this match was going to finish 3-4 minutes earlier than what it did. And let's just, whoever come up with the name of New Catch Republic's finisher, the Birmingham Hammer, fucking congratulations, you need a raise. Whoever it was, if it was one of the wrestlers, one of the producers, one of the writers, I don't know who it was. If it was Triple H, I don't know, but that's just fucking fantastic because both of them are from Birmingham. That's just wicked. I love pun finishes. We don't have a lot of them, and that's just fantastic. Yeah, look, there's not a lot to say about this match, other than this match this match made me want Finn Balor versus Tyler Bate in a one-on-one singles match in like a main pay-per-view so badly. Like this would slap if this was an intercontinental match or number one contenders match, or even just a match with a really good like build-up story. Like those two just cooked whenever they were in the ring together. Damian Priest, doesn't get enough love from fans. He's obviously does get a lot of love from backstage because they're obviously very high on him. We've all heard that from the reports. Look, I didn't want him to win Money in the Bank, and I still wish that he didn't because it's just a hindrance now. But we know how hard it is because of Roman taking the title hostage. It just really limits what you can do. But anyway, look, all four of them looked great. Dom's heel work was fantastic. Really got heat from the crowd and then just built on it and then got the crowd really fired up for this match. I mean, the Aussie crowd were great. I mean, like, well done to all the fellow Aussies in the crowd at Perth. 52,600, like, well done. There was a few, there was obviously internationals and like people on holidays going there and stuff, which is also great. I've never been to Western Australia, but I'd love to go. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Anyway, back to the match. Tyler Bate was my MVP of this match for sure. It dragged on at little parts when they're doing the typical beat up one dude until you get the hot tag and the crowd reacting and blah, blah, blah. They did that a few times, but the build up was really, really, really long. But the Pete Dunne hot tag was done really well, and Pete Dunne looked incredible. Tyler Bate and him just have awesome chemistry. I mean, they've been wrestling together for so long. It's too bad we can't have a Trent Seven to reunite that Mustache Mountain tag team bet. Anyway, that'd be great in the main roster. Like I said, there's not heaps to say about this match. They all did their job really well. Finn does a really good job of copping a lot of big moves. Because obviously he's a smaller guy and Damien's like a really big dude, and obviously Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate aren't big dudes. So Finn is a really great seller. I think he's underrated in terms of selling. Everyone, brings up Dolph Ziggler and Shawn Michaels, and Finn Balor's a really, really fucking good seller. Dunne's a great hot tag, like I said. I think it was great booking in the end to have Judgment Day almost lose, like in that dire straight deathly escape where they almost lost if it wasn't for Dom putting Finn's leg under the rope, and then he got evicted. He got sent away from the ring backstage by the ref. Yeah, look, MVP Tyler Bate, he looked great. All of his moves are awesome. He's just so fucking smooth, man. Like, he's just so fluent and smooth. The rating I give this is 3.75 out of 5. Look, it's not the greatest tag team I've seen, but it did a really good job. And for, a near 18-minute match, I didn't really get bored. Other than the fact I was just waiting for Pete Dunne to be tagged in. It just got dragged out a little bit too long, but I thought it was great. Now let's go on to the men's Elimination Chamber. I think, and everyone makes sense when they say this about the people in this, and this isn't against the wrestlers. Like, this isn't saying that they're not good or they're not big enough to be in this match. Because all these guys are over. They're all popular. They're all big names. All big high merch sellers. Everyone knows who they are, etc., etc. But 5 of them were from SmackDown. It just made no sense. Why wouldn't you have 3 and 3? Yeah, I don't know. That just didn't make sense because that just even telegraphed more that Drew was going to win. But I think a lot of people are fine with that. A bit like Becky, that, yeah, we all knew he was going to win, but it's the right thing because Drew's heel work, like, for us to say that this is Drew's best work is a high praise because he's done some great work in the past, especially when he was COVID champion. I hate calling him that, but he just was. He did a great job carrying that company on his back in the darkest time for wrestling, not just the company, but in wrestling in general. Just phenomenal stuff, and his booking in this match was great. The pinfalls that he got and the way that he got them were great. Him and Randy were booked to like fucking beasts, although all his pins pretty much, except for his Claymore kick and pin on Bobby, the other 2 being from like interference or from shenanigans Obviously, he pinned LA Knight, who was hit by a chair by AJ Styles, and then he obviously pinned Randy after getting hit with the Nux from Logan Paul. So he only really got one clean pin, and that's just really great booking for his character. Like, really, really good booking for his character. Cements he's like a hypocrite wrestler. Just great character work. They did a really good job booking. You have Randy look like a fucking animal, getting 2 pins, clean, awesome pins. RKO on KO, RKO on Logan Paul, which was a great camera work, by the way, zooming in on Logan, and then obviously getting the RKO out of nowhere. Great work. And that's obviously setting up, I hope we get a triple threat at WrestleMania between Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. Everyone's saying, they just want Randy Orton and Logan Paul now, but I hope they don't just do Logan Paul and KO rematch on SmackDown. I think that'll just undersell it too much. Give us a fucking triple threat. I don't get enough bloody multi-man matches anymore unless it's a fucking atrocious Fatal 4-Way at Royal Rumble this year. But anyway, I don't really want to touch on that too much. Yeah, I mean, this definitely isn't the best men's Elimination Chamber I've seen. It did pot along. It kind of felt as though they were going by the motions, and the booking was your typical booking. Your almost typical men's Elimination Chamber booking of once kind of everyone's in the ring or out of their pods, as soon as you see someone hitting multiple finishes and looking strong, they're going to get pinned. And that's exactly what happened here. Bobby put KO through his pod and then did a wicked speed of Logan through the pod. That was one of my favourite moments of the men's match. Awesome work. And then he gets claymored by Drew, gets up. I think, he goes for the hurt lock on someone, then gets claymored again, pinned. And then KO, did the same. Few stunners, got pinned. Pretty much, that's what you guaranteed happens in the Elimination Chamber. But look, I didn't hate this match by any means. I thought there was entertaining parts for sure, and I think that it was the right winner. I mean, Drew had to be the winner in this. I just wished that there was more question marks, a bit like the women's. Like, everyone kind of knew that Becky was going to win, but it was kind of like, there is a chance Liv wins because she's got the best story of all 6 women. And maybe Raquel was getting this big injury return push. Little chance, but there's still chance. There was no chance. I mean, he's my boy. He's my favourite wrestler of all time. There was no chance Bobby was winning this. It makes no sense. He's never mentioned the World Heavyweight title. He's promised gold and riches to the Street Profits, but he said they're going to run SmackDown. Well, the World Heavyweight title isn't on SmackDown. And he's making a feud with the bloody Final Testament, whatever the fuck they're called. So we knew he was never going to win. You have LA Knight. I mean, you thought, are they going to finally push him and give him a world title shot? But it made no sense. Story-wise, it made no sense booking because we knew that he was facing AJ Styles. Kevin Owens, we thought, he's not going to lose by DQ to Logan at Royal Rumble and then get a main event spot. Or one of the main event spots for the world title. They have Logan Paul. It's like, he's not going to face for the world heavyweight title against Seth. Yeah, he's got story, but he's also got the US title belt. And we all know that under Triple H, he doesn't like leaving off majority of the belts on WrestleMania because a lot of them get left off all the other B shows and even the other big 3. But WrestleMania, usually every title is on the line. Usually. So, and Randy, you thought maybe, but then again, him and Seth made no sense story-wise because he's feuding with Roman. Like, we knew Drew was going to win. That, there was just no question marks whatsoever. At least the women, there was a little question mark there. But it was still fun. There were some good spots. Logan Paul looked great in this. He did funny work in the pod. He brought a texter with him, was drawing pictures of KO being fat and all this, and that was great. And he had LA Knight smashing Drew's head on the pod multiple times, and sounded like Logan Paul copped it as well. There were some fun moments. Unlike the women's, I don't think everyone looked strong and looked great. I think the only reason why Bobby looked good and looked strong is because he put 2 people through pods and it's Bobby. He just looks great. Still over the crowd. The crowd was chanting Bobby and we want Bobby and all this type of stuff. So he's over. He looks strong. LA Knight, had some good moments, but you didn't come out of this thinking, fuck, like, you know, he looked fucking awesome. Like, we all know LA Knight's not big for his in-ring work. I'm not one of those people that's saying he's shit on, like, in the ring, because he's not. He's not shit at all. But that's not his best aspect. It's his mic work, his promo work. We all know that. Randy did a fucking great job of selling, as usual. Like, I still was questioning if he was really injured or not, and I thought, nah, it's Randy. He's the best, like, long-term worker in terms of, like, working a fake injury and stuff. Yeah, there's not really a lot else to say about this match. I mean, it was hard to pick an MVP. I kind of picked Bobby, and that's not me being biased. He's had the most memorable moment in my eyes, other than, like, Drew winning it. I think, yeah. I mean, you could make an argument that maybe KO or Randy, they had some good moments. Randy didn't do as many RKOs as I thought he would. But the rating, I'd go 3.5 out of 5. Maybe a bit too generous. I did think 3.25, but 3.5 because, I mean, I will say this again. For a 36-minute match, it did pot along, but I wasn't bored, and I didn't wish I could fast forward if it wasn't live. Like, it wasn't that boring or that bad. So, 3.5 out of 5. And we go to the main event. Look, Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley. I didn't have high hopes for this in terms of we all knew Rhea was not losing this match at all. Like, there's zero chance. The biggest question was, how good is Nia Jax going to be in the ring, and how good is this match really going to be? I mean, it was just under 15 minutes. Perfect timing. Perfect booking. I guessed it would be between 10 and 15 minutes. Any more or any less would have been terrible. Any less than 10 minutes for a main event for a big stadium show would have been an absolute fucking farce, and they would have been booed out of the building if I was an Aussie fan. Any longer than 15 minutes, everyone's getting bored because you're limited with a 9. Nothing against 9. I think she's been really good since her comeback to WWE. She's looked like a monster. They've done a really good job pumping her up. And Rhea did a really, really good job. This is hard to do, but she did a really good job of being like, because she was a babyface. Obviously, she was hometown hero, so she was a babyface for the night. She's kind of a babyface in general. She's so popular. Everyone loves her. But she does such a good job of a babyface in peril, but without looking weak. Now, that's really hard to do. And that also comes to Nia Jax as well. Looking really strong without looking too strong and making Rhea look weak, and etc., etc. And Nia Jax, I mean, I think the move through the commentator's table was meant to break it when she put Rhea through it, but it didn't. So she improvised, got on a fucking swivelly computer chair, stabilized it, was able to jump off it and drop an elbow on Rhea and then break the table without busting her neck. Like, big praise. I couldn't even do that changing a fucking light bulb. I'll break my fucking neck and crack my skull open for the 6th time alive. So I think credit needs to be given to Nia on her character work. Her promos still aren't great, but in terms of her actual in-ring character work, is really good. She's a lot safer. I'm not saying she's the safest wrestler now, but she's a lot safer than what she was pre-return. There's really not a lot I could say about this match. I think the highlight for me was the table spot. I thought that was really, really good selling from Rhea and really good just off-the-cuff work from Nia. Like, awesome work for her for that. The crowd was into it. They were kind of into that. Babyface in peril, like, really getting her up till she finally hits the Riptide, which was an awesome-looking Riptide. There was some power behind that. Obviously, there had to be to lift Nia up. And props to both women for making that move look great. Look, the rating might seem a bit harsh, but this is what I expected the match to be. I knew Rhea was going to win. I knew it wasn't going to be technically a masterclass, because that's not why you book Nia in a match. It's not why you book her in a main event match. You book Nia in a match to either squash someone within a couple of minutes, or you book her in to look like she's going to destroy someone and the babyface ends up winning. And, you know, David versus Goliath story. That's why you book Nia Jax. So there was never going to be a technical match, and I knew that, but I can't give this any more than 3.25 out of 5. Just for the fact that it was what I expected. It was 14 minutes. Oh, sorry. Of the 14 minutes, 11 minutes of it was Rhea trying to lift Nia up or getting beaten up by Rhea. Rhea getting beaten up by Nia. So that's the rating for that. Overall, great work for the production team of WWE. Like, looked great. The stadium looked great. The stage looked great. Those shots of the sunset of Perth in the background, the arena in the foreground, and then in between you had the sunset. Fucking awesome work. Like, the camera work since, I can't remember his name, was it something done or whatever, the guy in the production van, ever since he left, they are taking risks and doing things different with the camera work, and it is paying off. Awesome work. And they did other shots of the sun setting even more, and then obviously of the night, and the stadium looked really... Optus Stadium, the lighting is really, really good. It's a bit like Adelaide Oval. They've done it up so they can do, like, turn the lights off, turn it back on, do all these little light shows in the stadium. They did that with Optus Stadium, and it looked really great. I like when the crowd is darkened in the stadium and the highlight is the ring. Although, in the men's match, we noticed it because there was a spotlight obviously hitting a certain part of the chamber, and it was causing a massive shadow on the wrestlers in the middle of the ring. So that was kind of a bit distracting, but other than that, doesn't matter. And, like, from the bottom of my heart, well done to everyone that went to Perth. I didn't go mainly for the fact, because it's Perth, it's Western Australia, if you're flying from Queensland or New South Wales or even like anywhere on that side, it's a long, long travel. But from what I've heard, a lot of Queenslanders and a lot of New South Wales people travel. It's a fucking awesome work. It's just really expensive to fly to Perth. It's expensive for accommodation, obviously, and it's inflated even more by the fact of a big event. That's in terms of food and everything as well. It was just hard for me to go, to be able to afford to go, and obviously for someone to go with. But to get 52,000 people, and like I said, not all of that were just Aussies. There were people travelling. We had the Trinidad and Tobago guy that was there. The green smiley face man wasn't there. Not to my knowledge, unless he couldn't get the seat he usually gets, but he wasn't there. But Trinidad and Tobago guy, awesome work. You got there. And from what I heard, a lot of people loved it that travelled either interstate or internationally, loved Perth. I mean, I'd love to go to Perth, and just Western Australia in general looks like a very pretty place. But for the whole show in general, very predictable, but it was a great show, and people complaining that there's only just under 2 hours of wrestling. Well, what did you expect? When you have 12 entrances for the Elimination Chamber alone, and you have a segment in that, and then you have promotional stuff, what do you expect? What do you expect? Anyway, enough talk about that, but we'll finish with the podcast. We'll jump into the results from Raw today. Just while I'm here, Cody Rhodes defeated Grayson Waller in, a typical Monday Night Raw match. Cody obviously won. Paul Heyman come out talking shit about Cody and about the bloodline, and he needs to redact his challenge to The Rock. And then he, weirdly enough, it's just not having just security guards. He had 3 suspended NYPD officers to come out, off-duty officers to take out Rhodes, and he just took them all out easily. Weird. But, yeah, I mean, they're building to, I don't know what they're building between Rock and Cody. I don't know if they're... Shit, who knows? Backlash is in France, right? That it's WrestleMania. They're not calling it WrestleMania Backlash, but it's WrestleMania Backlash. It's in May. Can they afford to have The Rock in France? I don't know. Are they going to do Cody versus Rock once Cody beats Roman? I don't know. We'll wait to see what happens. I don't think you're going to see Cody versus Rock on night 1 and then Cody versus Roman night 2 or vice versa. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. And you don't want to risk Cody in the first match. You just don't want to do that. Then you had Nia Jax attack Becky Lynch when Lynch was going to confront Rhea Ripley and cut a promo on her. So this is just really putting mud in the water with this Nia Jax and Becky Lynch stuff because they never finished this feud. Nia beat Becky and they, had a thing in the Rumble and nothing's really come of it. So is this going to become a triple threat? I don't know. Or are they just planting seeds of Becky is going to beat Rhea and they're going to let Rhea maybe have some time off, a bit like when Seth Rollins loses to Drew, hopefully. Sorry, Seth, but it's the way to go. Going to let her have time off and then they're going to have Nia be the first challenger for Becky when she wins the championship. I don't know. This is really muddying the water. I don't know. Maybe they're planting seeds early. It's really confusing. Or are they going to have like a big Raw before Mania match between Becky and Nia and just try and put Becky over even more before the main event match against Rhea? That makes more sense to me, but we'll wait and see what happens. There's almost 5 weeks into WrestleMania. There's a shitload of time in between, so we'll wait and see. Again, Shinsuke Nakamura lost. They're just building him up as a strong heel to just lose pretty much every week. He lost to Sami Zayn. He wants to Sammy's pretty much said he wants to just look good and like build momentum and whatsoever. And the little interaction between Gunther and Zayn. So are we going to get Zayn versus Gunther? Gunther. When I say Gunther, I think of friends. Gunther versus Zayn at WrestleMania, or are we getting Chad versus Gunther at WrestleMania? But I'll touch on Chad in a sec. Or is Zayn getting inserted into the World Heavyweight Triple Threat? I don't know, there's so many different options. We don't know what we're going to get from Zayn. We know we're getting something big from him. Because they keep pushing him with this underdog thing. It's in Philadelphia, the city of Rocky, the biggest underdog in like movie history, based on a real underdog boxer. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get from Zayn. I personally hope that it's a triple threat for the World Heavyweight title, and if Drew isn't the winner, then Zayn wins and then gets cashed in on by Priest. That's the only way I see Priest cashing on. I don't want Priest cashing on Drew. Heel vs. heel just makes no sense to me at all. A heel cashing on a heel, I don't know, just makes no sense to me. Surprisingly, Imperium defeated New Day in a street fight via pinfall. Wild match, looked great. Wasn't like an amazing match, but yeah, Imperium won, which I found surprising because Imperium like rarely ever wins, but they're clearly building Imperium obviously to look strong around Gunther. I think if they're not doing a in-house struggle thing, which I hate because I do it all the time with factions, and I really don't want that with Imperium. That's not who they are. You need Imperium to look strong and book them strong and make them win matches against people like the New Day and all that. New Day's had their run as the top guys, like tag team guys, for just under 10 years. It's time they start putting more and more people over, which they have done in the past, but then also they're in main event, like tag team title matches, So I think it's just time they put other people over. But yeah, anyway. Now we're on to Chad Gable, was backstage talking to Adam Pearce, and he suggested he'd need another shot at Gunther because Gunther made his daughter cry and had the Intercontinental Championship match, blah, blah, blah. So they are picking up where they left off, 5-6 months ago, that they never really followed through with. They just had Chad dropping again after having great matches with Gunther. We all thought he was going to be one to dethrone him. I think what they did was they pulled the trigger too early. And they thought, Chad's actually over, and it's actually story makes sense, and it's really good, but we've done it too early before WrestleMania because Gunther's not losing this any time before WrestleMania. So I think they've started to now pick it up because hopefully they want Chad to be the guy. But now with this Sami Zayn stuff, are they going to make that a triple threat? Which, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like two baby faces and a heel, but that means that they're protecting Gunther, so that means that Sami's going to pin Chad or Chad pin Sami. I'm not a fan of that at all. That might be a way of them protecting Gunther because he's obviously going to be in the World Heavyweight title scene within a few months. I think if he loses at WrestleMania, he has some time off. Do they bring him back for France because it's a Europe show, or do they not worried about that because it's going to be in Germany later in the year, in August? I don't know. But more question marks with Chad. I really hope this just isn't a Raw before Mania thing and Chad loses again because they're just giving us hope to squash us again. But that's fucking WWE, so who knows? Drew and Seth had a cut a promo. Drew, I can't even speak English. Drew was making a lot of references to Cody. He sat down and crossed his legs, obviously like Punk does, and obviously did in the pipe bomb. Very big image of him doing that. They pretty much just talked about their WrestleMania match, but Rollins also said, look, we need to stop the bloodline because I know you had an issue with the bloodline, but I don't think Drew gives a shit now about the bloodline because he's got his title shot. He just wants to blame everyone else, including the bloodline. I don't know. Nothing to bring home about. Just cutting promos before WrestleMania. You have, Nia Jax defeated Liv Morgan by disqualification because Becky Lynch got involved. And then Morgan said to Lynch, not everything is about you. So, again, planting seeds about possible things. They're continuing the Nia Jax and Becky thing. Like I said, maybe it's just going to be a Raw before Mania thing, and they're just going to try and put Becky over even more to look stronger against Rhea. Then you're also planting the seeds of Liv Morgan and Becky. Is Liv going to maybe be a tween, or is she going to just turn full heel and challenge Becky for the title in the future? Not sure. I'd prefer Liv go up against Rhea. Just makes more sense storyline. I think that's a wasted storyline if that doesn't happen, but Anyway, then you have what I referenced earlier, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeated Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell via submission. I mean, yeah, poor Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Poor Indy, got that hometown moment in Australia, got beaten in under 10 minutes and then gets beaten on Raw in kind of like a nothing match. But Baszler, again, being thrown in a tag team. I know her and Zoe Stark work quite well with each other. They're very similar in the way they wrestle, but Baszler just got out of a tag team with Ronda Rousey last year. They tried it for singles and just gave up on her. And she was actually, I can't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks after beating Ronda in that atrociously bad MMA rules match, she was actually over with the Raw crowd. Like, they gave her a big pop when she came out. And then she was obviously involved in that Fatal 5-Way for the title with Nia Jackson. Zoe Stark was in that as well, I think. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. I would prefer Baszler and Zoe Stark split. I brought this up last time. Can they just do a goddamn women's mid-card title and get rid of the tag titles? They're just not working. They're just forming all these random-ass tag teams. Just do a fucking mid-card women's title. Give all these women like Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Naomi, all these other mid-card wrestlers that aren't going to be able to... Because not everyone can fight in the main event for the title. Not everyone can. Yeah, there can be a few in the main event picture, obviously. But you can't have 6 or 7 at a time. So it's a great way of, trying to see if someone gets over and see what they're like with the title before they hit the main title. But unfortunately, the women, they don't have that. They, like a Gunther, okay, well, he's definitely World Heavyweight Championship material. Not only, everyone knew that before he was the Intercontinental Champion, but now he's really legitimised that title. And he also, everyone's like, okay, well, he's ready for the world title now. Put it on him. Well, women's, we don't get that. There's only 2 main titles in tag team. We don't have that proving ground, so to speak. I don't know. They're probably never going to do it because it makes too much sense. It is WWE, but anyway, that's the end of the Raw results, all the major recap moments and whatnot. Yeah, so unfortunately this isn't a visual podcast this time. There's no camera, just because I'm having trouble with my camera at the moment. I've got to get a new cord for it, but yeah, I apologise for the audio before. If there's a bit of feedback, it's from my aircon, but I'm so sorry, it's so hot in here. Autumn starts in about 3 weeks, so I can't wait. Well, it gets a bit cooler in my office when I record, but yeah, if you're listening and you listen to this far, I've been rambling on for 50 minutes. Thank you so much. I hope to be doing more content for my YouTube channel, not just the podcast, but also just, normal wrestling videos and discussing and reviewing different things. Maybe some quizzes here and there. Shout out to Stash Club Wrestling, who kind of, and Wrestle Talk as well, got me back into wanting to do a wrestling podcast. I created this channel in 2021 and never did really anything for it. Did a few shitty videos, but I really wanted to focus on podcasting. And if you're interested in movies, I've got a movie podcast called Goose Talks Film, available across YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, and YouTube. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. But if you're listening this far, I've rambled on even more. Almost 50 minutes now. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're commenting, you're subscribing, you're following, you're leaving reviews. Much appreciated. Thanks so much, guys. This has been Goose for Goose Talks Wrestling, and maybe next week we get that 3 count. All right, goodbye.